session of FORE International Marketing Conference, which is themed at Marketing in a Disrupted World. And we have been listening to the papers which are presented by the research scholars, professors of various institutions around the globe. And over last 2 days, we have been discussing and pondering upon ideas how to make through what are the ways in which this disrupted world can be.
You are here, sir, in the meeting. Sir, please unmute yourself.
I'm unmuted. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
You can hear me?
Yes, sir, perfectly.
Yes,
We can see
yes,
you.
we
We
can.
can hear you.
On the net.
Yes, sir, we
No,
can hear
no,
you.
You're audible. You're audible
Hello?
perfectly fine here.
Can you hear me? I can't hear anyone.
Hello,
Oh,
sir. Oh,
this was the same problem last time when you came in online.
Hello?
Yeah,
There is this
there's
problem
the
with his
audio issue
speaker,
at
his
your end.
device. Okay, so Anuj, can you please look into this?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Hello?
I'll continue. So, welcome you all to this valedictory session.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir,
Yeah.
we can hear you.
I'm unmuted.
can
No.
you hear us?
We can
Can
hear
you hear
you.
us, sir? Hello?
Hello?
So we
Sir,
can hear
you
you.
hear? We can hear you.
There's a audio input.
Can you hear me?
Audio output issue with him.
I think Anuj can send a message, na? You can operate
Hello?
through message. Yeah.
Yes, sir. We are working, but he's all disconnecting the phone.
Okay.
No, you unko phone
Sir, please check your speaker. I think it's muted.
please got no please pick up the phone. Yeah, Anuj phone kar pick up your phone.
It is muted. अनुज अनम्यूट कर दो आपको यहाँ से अनम्यूट कर सकते हो तो अनम्यूट
सर वो अभी फोन पे बात कर रहे हैं सर अभी
So I'll continue then. So today we have with us.
Can you hear me?
No, you see,
yes sir, we can hear you.
Okay, but I can't hear anyone from the meeting.
Yeah.
So should I start my speech? What should I do?
Anuj, you can just send a message that when his turn comes, he'll be sending a message.
Hello?
That is the best option. Okay. Hello.
Nirmala.
Okay. I should continue, right? I think Anuj will take care of this. So today we have there is some technical glitch with Professor Mahajan, so he'll be back with us very soon. Today we have with us Miss Bhuvana Subramaniam. She's Chief Marketing Officer of Randstad India. Welcome you, ma'am. Good to have you here.
Thank you, Dr.
We have with us Mr. Rahul Raizada. He is Executive Director, PwC. We welcome you, Rahul.
Thank
Good to have you at your alma mater.
Thank you.
And we have with us today Professor Mithleshwar Jha, who is a very renowned figure in the world of marketing. He is author of the book Marketing Management, co-authored with Dr. Philip Kotler. And he's an ex-professor in marketing at IIM Bangalore and IIM Lucknow as well. We welcome you, sir. And we have with us Professor Das from FORE School of Management. He's a director at the institute and a professor in marketing area. We welcome you, sir. And today we are discussing about how we can put forward the marketing word through these times where these are disrupted, and how can the managers and the academician researchers work around to the possibilities of making this whole process a smoother one, the transition which is going on, a smoother one. I'll hand over the dice to Dr. Jitendra Das. Sir, please, you can start with your words.
Okay. Thank you, Professor Gupta. I mean, I'm not a speaker. I'm just welcoming the dignitaries
Just a
and
welcome note, sir. I know. It's just a few words from your side will be.
who are joining us today. The sense of gratitude to all of you for sparing your time to join us and share your thoughts in this valedictory session. It's a 2-day conference themed on marketing in a disrupted world. This is an international conference we do once a year, and this is the 10th one. We started the first one in 2012, and we have done these international conference themed on one particular area. So this is the second one, second international conference on marketing area that we are doing, and we have had very good papers submitted and presented. I'm sure we'll be coming out with the proceeding if it's all right with the authors, and we'll take it forward. So we were actually eager to listen from you on this particular subject and give a what is called the last knock on the head of all the marketing professionals. Like, this is it, and this is how you need to understand marketing in the current situation. And so please take it as a what is called a capstone session where everybody should coalesce all the learning that they have had in the last 2 days, I mean, yesterday and today, and learn from you the last points to integrate all the gyan and all the the wisdom shared by the authors, the research authors. So welcome you once again, and back to Professor Ans to initiate the valedictory presentations. Yeah.
So first of all, I'll invite Miss Bhuvana Subramaniam to have few words from her side about the topic that we are having. Ma'am, you have a presentation?
I do, Dr. Anuj.
Anuj, can you give the sharing rights to Miss Bhuvana?
Yes, sir. Just
He will share the presentation, so I think
He has a presentation.
Yeah, he does. But while he brings up the presentation, just to take off from what Dr. Das was saying, I mean, really can't say that this is it, Dr. Das, because all of us are learning continuously. And I think that's been the beauty of the last 2 years. And, and there is no, this is it anymore. It's the continuous learning, continuous teaching or exchange of ideas. That's what is happening, and that's really been one of the advantages of the pandemic, I should say, and all the more for marketing. I think it's the best time to be in marketing, and that's what I've observed. And we are like, we have a seat at the table today. We're able to work with the CEOs and the CPOs to change the culture of the organization. So it's no more just marketing that we are influencing, but the entire organization and the culture itself. So I'll start with that. And I wanted to, kind of bring to the students what big impact marketing has been. And that's always been any marketer's goal, right? High impact marketing means, and marketing is not a separate, doesn't have a separate swim lane by itself. It means that it brings in the biggest bang for your buck, and it's also about contributing to the business's bottom line. That's the most important function of marketing. In fact, while you do branding, you do PR, you do internal communications, you do lead management, all of that, those are the pillars of marketing. But the ultimate goal is everything adds to your bottom line. And but high impact marketing is easier said than done. It can range depending on your business goals, industry. Additionally, it doesn't necessarily correlate with the amount of money you spend. In today's world, you can just put up a YouTube video and get the maximum thing for your buck. Or you can, of course, not in India, but otherwise today it's TikTok, TikTok time, and so today you have so many channels that can give you the bang for the buck, and that's what has changed tremendously in the digital world. If you could move on, Anuj.
Next slide, Anuj.
Yes, thank you. I also wanted to talk about how the trends, priorities, and actions for a CMO has changed, right? What they choose, it's become a journey. It's become a journey in itself. The journey is designed and defined by the customer all the more in today's world. And we're accountable for the initiative, the digital initiative. Earlier, marketing was owning digital along with the CDO, but today, the entire organization had to go digital. So that onus has come to marketing, and that's again, allows you to change the narrative, allows you to control the narrative for the organization, and that's become the focus. And you become a close partner to the CEO and the CXOs of the organization. And of course, all of us know marketing budgets always go through this change, and anytime there is an issue in the market, that's the first thing that goes away. And CMOs have had to reinvent or recalibrate based on the budgets that have been available. But it's also important to prioritize and choose what to reinvent, rescale, reduce, retire, or merely return to pre-pandemic levels. Slowly, all of us are getting to that pre-pandemic days of hybrid, digital, or whatever you want to name it, right? We are getting back, we want to get back to the pre-pandemic era, and then have the face-to-face interactions, or have reinvented events or reinvented interactions with our client. So I would say the focus is, it's most essential to have that short-term, most aligned with growth strategies of the organization, and that is aligned to the organization's purpose, capabilities, and resources as well. You can make your trade-offs, but it should also institute, formal scenario planning to support a constant cycle of iterative adjustments in line with the economic conditions that warrant in today's time as well. What is also happening is this means, the KPIs for the CMO changes, which means it changes for the marketing also. So it is essential to prepare for the future of hybrid marketing. It is about being the chief connecting officer and also about building holistic marketing measurement. I completely believe in data-driven marketing, and that's something that I keep talking to my team as well, which means you're looking at, if you're putting in 1 rupee, what is it 10x, 3x, 5x, whatever it is, you take the target and then you're measuring yourself continuously. That's really important, and that's become imperative for the CMO as well. If you could move on to the next slide, Anuj. If you ask me what's next for consumers, workers, and companies in the post-COVID recovery, it is going to be the investment in human capital. It is about putting people over profit, and the actions we collectively take today, from investing in human capital to enabling a surge of entrepreneurship, to diffusing technology, to companies of all sizes, it could create a virtuous cycle of job growth, rising consumption, and productivity growth as well. Many organizations, if you see their marketing campaigns or even any vision or mission that the CEO is putting out there, is aligned to their purpose. It is aligned to putting people. It's become more about employee and customer engagement and their journey over profit. Nobody is talking, most of us are not talking about the solutions that we provide or the services we provide, but it's more about what are we doing as solutioning, or what are we doing for the people, what's in it for them. That's the question we're all answering through marketing as also. Anuj, if you could play the video.
Hey, do you love cricket so much that even your childhood dream was to become a cricketer and play for India too? And then life happened. For obvious reasons, you had to choose a different career path. But what if I told you you can still make your dream come true of making a career in the field of sports, not by playing on the field, but by doing something really exciting, fun, and you'll be doing something that you love. If that is something that excites you, then hear me out for the next 1 minute. Hi, I'm David. I'm a practicing cricket analyst. I work with one of the top cricket organizations in India. And I can teach you on how to go from being a cricket fan to a certified cricket analyst in just 7 days. I'm hosting a 7-day cricket analytics workshop for just Rs 677. And in the workshop, you'll have everything that it takes to become a cricket analyst. You'll be able to solve some of the
Anuj, I think you could share the video with the students later, but what I wanted to show through this video is we have something called the Human Forward movement. And in our campaigns, what we started doing is showing real life examples of what kind of jobs are we providing, And this is real stories that we brought out to get in front and use that in our campaigns. And this becomes the reason I wanted to play this video is it's become a lot more authentic communication. It is about showcasing the organization's purpose and not just their solutions or services. This is a lady who was into a very different profession, and we trained her to get into a very another profession which will pay her more, and is able to. And what we believe in Randstad is about actually not just giving a person a job, but it's also about the family that they have, or it's about the support system that they are able to create because of the job that they create. And that's our purpose, and that's what we wanted to talk to our consumers as well during the pandemic. You can move forward. Yeah, I have the next 3 slides which talk about the importance of content, right? Content has become the main differentiator for marketers in this age of Jugnu, TikTok stars, and co-creation of products or services by customers. It's imperative for marketers to be able to design and recalibrate their content strategy. We believe in making our employees, in fact, at Randstad, we have about 100 brand champs who tell their story of what their Randstad experience is, or their experience with their customers in an authentic manner. And that's what candidates and clients want to listen. We have a B2B and a B2C angle, and most organizations have that today. So you'll need to be able to recalibrate your content accordingly. And all of us consume, so much of megabytes of content every day through mobile, through television, through Netflix, or online, whatever it is, but we pick and choose what we really want to consume. And the attention span has become like probably about 1.5 seconds to 2 seconds now, from what it used to be of 3 seconds, right? So it's really important for marketers to start thinking, how do you relate to your consumer in today's world? And it's more led by the consumer itself. These are normal people, actually. If you see Logan Paul, or Bella Poarch, or any of these guys, they are normal people like us who have become superstars on TikTok or YouTube by just putting content out there that's more relatable to the consumer or to their own audience as well. Companies have moved, rapidly to deploy digital and automation technologies also. So that's again another combination that organizations have come to, using content and technology. If you could move next 2 slides, maybe, yeah, another slide. This is another example of co-creation of product and content by Lego. In fact, they ran a contest, and the creator was given the platform to come and present to the consumers of how he actually created this rocket. And that thereby allowing Lego was actually sinking. In fact, if you read about it, you'll get to know that Lego was not doing very well at a particular point in time. This particular contest actually gave them that catapulting effort of increasing their percentage of product sales also. And then this became a campaign much later for Lego. So these are examples of how content can change the way you go to market. If you go one more slide, I just wanted to share with you, Sudha Murthy is one of the iconic, next slide, Anuj, is an iconic figure and brand in itself in India. And the reason I'm sharing this is, again, the authenticity, the simplicity of the message and the engagement she's able to drive to the audience. And that's what marketers should aim through their campaigns. Customer centricity, customization, and right content are the 3 C's that Corona has created focus on. If you could move to the next slide. And it's the hybrid world. And what does marketing in the hybrid world mean? Is bringing digital automation, accelerating trends, unfolding at a much faster pace than before the crisis. So that's what the hybrid world is. And companies have turned to automation, AI, to cope with surges in demand, and the need to reduce workplace density as well. And some of these changes have delivered more convenience and greater efficiency, and are likely to endure well after the pandemic has receded. You can move forward. Home nesting has become very popular, and that's what all of us have been doing. In fact, with many consumers investing to enhance their new homebound lifestyle. So all the content is being consumed on these kind of channels, and it's really important for marketers to choose their tech stack as well. It's really a very, very important piece. And it's also important to endure shifts to new digital channels, maybe examine consumption using a stickiness test. We keep devising into account the actions of companies and the consumers also. Chatbots are the latest revolution in the business landscape, and it used to be very simple. Chatbots, the banking chatbots and all that were very simple, but today it has learned so much. There's so much data available, and with the help of AI-powered chatbots, businesses are better equipped to handle customer service functions. In fact, in the HR services, we've started using chatbots to even select candidates, select freshers. When there is scale, we started using chatbots to be able to look at who comes with the right skills. The use of right keywords is important. So therefore, you also start learning about SEO and SEA. Right from resume writing today. Video, resumes have become very, very, prevalent in today's world. Therefore, bringing that human connect also while using technology. I think you can move forward. So technology not only enables personalization, but also enhances accessibility and consistency of customer services experiences. And this is a very, very important part for marketers. It's not the function of some customer experience. There is no customer experience department in many organizations. This falls under marketing. So it's really important to understand the cycle that the customer goes through and the potential that.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
So the potential that technology enables for customer experience.
Thank you.
Is exciting.
Thank you. So we really apologize for the
Okay,
inconvenience.
Should I go on?
Thank you, sir. Have a good day, sir. So sincere apologies for the inconvenience.
Please continue, Ms. Bhuvan.
Sure, thank you. So customer service decisions are also actually more data driven. The potential that technology enables for customer experience is exciting. And in fact, it's moved from customer experience to customer delight. That's that slight differentiation that you bring through your campaigns, through your content, through your actual service to the customer, and the customization that you're able to bring even in smaller things like taking feedback from the customers. Just move to the next slide, please. Yeah, so this is a large, you can click, I think. So it's really important for marketers to understand customer insights. We use NPS, we use, constant feedback. We use CSAT, twice a year to take feedback from our customers and then tweak our campaigns, tweak our content, tweak our messaging to them, and also enable. So as I was mentioning earlier, marketing is a great partner to the business, and it's really important for marketing to also collaborate with the business on customer insights, and that is another way to contribute to the bottom line of the organization also. You just move forward. I was mentioning earlier, companies are rethinking the role of digital technology in their business strategy and how to conduct business at the quickening pace that's now needed to operate. And we clearly see tech and touch coming forward. Tech and touch in our parlance means that tech is here. There is no escape from technology, but it's also important to bring in that human contact, human touch in whatever we do. And it's not, here I've mentioned customer service, but it also goes across every part of marketing that you are involved in. It is including internal communications, PR that you do, or when you talk to a client, or you're talking to a customer, or you just doing an event, it doesn't matter. So it's tech and touch is the future of service, and it's also going to be very hybrid. If you could move forward. I'm not going to go through this list, but I was mentioning earlier the imperative.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
On the screen.
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
So the key KPIs for marketers in the future is not just customer experience or delight, but it's also about the lifetime value that we create. And I was reading, I think Gartner had mentioned that lead management is not going to be the topmost KPI for marketers. It's going to be the customer lifetime value. And therefore, this entire weightage changes, and it's really important for students to know that and learn that, because the skills that you need for this is also very, very different. It's not important that you know what marketing is and what technology you need to learn, or analytics or anything, or AI, but it's also important to focus on customers and customer management. And as I was mentioning earlier, this is probably my dream technology stack that I would start looking at, and it's the reason I put these up is here is many times students ask, what is it that we need to learn? What is the skills that we need to understand? And many times marketers are scared or worried about numbers. My advice is, don't be. Numbers and math are very different things. So, but you definitely need to understand numbers. So start understanding numbers right from now. Start, getting yourself familiar with numbers, because data analytics, visualization, AI is going to be the future, and it's involved in every pillar of marketing. So that, it's really important that you take overall technology capabilities, talent, leadership, resources, and these are all very linked. And to me, that is going to define what high impact marketing strategy or execution that you're going to bring as future marketers. That's my piece. Thank you so much for bringing me here amongst this very eminent panelists, or, I would say thank you so much for management and Dr. Anand.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ms. Bovanna.
Yeah. Am I audible? Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, Professor Nirmala, you're audible.
Yeah. So now we have the keynote speaker for the evening, Professor Mahajan, Gautam Mahajan, and he will be, he's the President of Customer Value Foundation. Hello, sir. And we got it done. We were struggling with a technical glitch for last 15 minutes, and our team was trying their best, and after that it has been resolved. So Professor Mahajan is the President of Customer Value Foundation, and also he is the editor-in-chief of Journal of Customer Value. So he has a profound understanding in this particular field, and I would like to, rather on behalf of FORE School of Management and FIMC, I would like to request him to deliver his keynote address, which has already been delayed for 20 minutes. So, sir, screen to you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Okay. First of all, my apologies for disrupting this whole thing, and I still don't understand what happened, but I'm glad to be here. My topic is also on disruption. It's creating value in a disrupted marketplace. My name, as you know, is Gautam Mahajan. I am actually getting customer value and creating value to become a movement around the world. And we have a creating value school at Kobe University, a creating value school coming up at the Japan Advanced Institute of Science and Technology, a creating value research center at Doshisha University in Kyoto, a creating value center for sales in Denmark, and a creating value center for social work in the University of Maryland. The purpose of my talk today is to make marketers go back to creating value and have less focus on functional subjects like promotion, brand, communications. These are all things that they have to do. You have to go beyond these. Creating value will disrupt your marketing thinking and help you be a disruptor in the marketplace. The talk will discuss creating disruption using a value creation mindset, and also how you can win in a disrupted marketplace using my 7 A's of value creation, which I will discuss later. The modern marketing orientation or the marketing concept emerged in the 1950s. Characteristics of the marketing orientation were meant to be a thorough understanding of the customer's needs, wants, and behaviors should be the focal point of all uh, marketers and marketing decisions. Unfortunately, marketing evolved as a better selling opportunity, and so branding, product management, etc., have taken over. The eye on customer value is not the big focus. Phil Kotler has been saying, and I quote from the Journal of Creating Value, I think that too many marketers have too narrow a view of marketing. Many see their primary job as advertising and promotion. They are called in after the product has been created. The job is to help sell the product rather than to participate in making a great product with the right price, features, and distribution. He goes on to say, outstanding marketing companies see marketing as intrinsically involved in value creation. So that's what marketing is all about. I would add that marketers have to be disruptors and innovators and manage in a disrupted marketplace. All disruption is not huge. You can disrupt marketing thinking in your disrupted marketplace in small ways. Can we sell this product when no one else has thought of to different people? Can I bring new products in as the market gets disrupted? Having said this, what is value creation, which is the role of marketing? Creating value is executing normal, conscious, inspired, and even imaginative actions that increase the overall good and well-being and the worth of and for ideas, goods, services, people, or institutions, including society and all stakeholders like employees, customers, partners, shareholders, and society, and value waiting to happen. An example is looking at nature and coming up with something new. We call this value waiting to happen. By studying how geckos or lizards stick to the walls, scientists were able to come up with a tape to close wounds during surgeries. 1948, the Swiss engineer George de Mastrel went hiking in the woods with his dog. Upon arrival at home, he found that there were notes that clung to his clothes, and he wondered if such an idea could be used in commercial application. He studied a bird under a microscope only to discover that they were covered with tiny hooks, which allowed them to grab onto clothes and fur that brushed in passing. And he used this to develop Velcro. It took 8 years, but we call this type of thinking as value waiting to happen. Max Bazerman of Harvard Business School, who's written a brilliant book, will use the word ethics similarly to how utilitarian philosophers use the term, to achieve the greatest good by creating as much value as possible for all sentient beings in the world. By creating more value, you will be better and do better. Our goal will be to identify concrete steps to access our capacity to create more value and reach what I'll refer to as our maximum sustainable level of goodness. So he's equating value to goodness. So as value creators, we have to imagine the new normal and get ourselves ready for it through baby steps, where we adjust to the changing present normal and disruption and become ready for the coming normals. Note I use the plural. Doing this requires our becoming aware of value waiting to happen. That is, what new happenings are possible. Will there be flying phones and devices? Will we be wired? Can we teleport ourselves? Will we have to decide when to die? Can we open up our products to new markets and users? In doing all of this, we have to note some background realities. One, money and power will remain the number one motivator and normal. Two, people want to belong and conform. 3. We seek to go back to the old ways of thinking, though some change could become permanent. We will forget the pandemic forced disruption and the new future, which did not become a new normal. We had started to, because of pandemic, to put less stress on the environment. We stopped rushing around, which was for the greater good. But now we have gone back to our older ways and older normals without disrupting our old lifestyle for the good of the environment. What it tells us is that all new and big changes do not become disruptors and the new normal. They may be temporary. We seek to go back to the old ways. Yet we know the new normal creeps up on us and we have to start accepting them. We accepted the telephone, the cell phone, data and its ubiquity. Some new normal happened fast, like the change in the length of women's dresses, below knee, above knee. Slower was the acceptance of Western dress in Korea, Japan, and elsewhere, where it became the new normal because people wanted to belong and conform. So how can we create better ways in such an environment? I had written about the short-term new normal, saying that the COVID-19 and other such disruptive events happen often. In public life, it is like a world war or the financial meltdown in 2008. In private life, loss of a job can be disruptive. Someone's death may be disruptive for the survivors. For companies such as Boeing, the 737 MAX tragedy was disruptive. They all destroyed value. I would like to introduce my 7 A's thinking, which are awareness, ability, agility, attitude, anticipation, adaptability, and ambidextrousness. We will use this in the disrupted marketplace to create value. What are the lessons we learn? Often these disruptive occurrences can be destroyers of value, but they also are an opportunity to create value. How do we do this? For example, the driverless car can cause destruction for some. Drivers lose their jobs. Car repair centers will have less business because there'll be less accidents. Insurance companies will have to reinvent themselves. And then we have to create value for others, such as the old manufacturing companies that have to shut down their engine manufacturers and have to redesign the car. So there is value destruction and value creation. So let's take some examples where you could actually do something. Will studying at home and by the net make more people more robotic and increase the influence of AI and technology and less on human thinking? Will these lead to disruptive opportunities? What can you do? And that's what you have to think about. First, we have to be aware of these. How can we take advantage of these? For example, chatbots to make it convenient for people to get information. Our idea of management and of work has to change. Why is it necessary for office workers to concentrate in an office? For better communication, efficiency, our ability to manage and ensure people are working, are on time, are disciplined. So these are all the things that that we have to worry about. Then as we go forward, we start to think about whether commuting time is reduced, whether we can work with the same level of efficiency and lower stress without commuting. Can we reduce the stress on the infrastructure, on mass transportation and reduce crowds? Can people learn to do things remotely and probably become more self-reliant? How do we become aware of opportunities and use them? For example, at home delivery of food and goods, which is happening, home offices and supplies. This is an opportunity to bring in new apps, services, and ideas. Internet payment is another thing that has taken over in a big way. And now you have e-challans, e-payment systems, and you have to ask whether your systems can do this in a good way. The idea of globalization modified by globalization may not be the path for the future. Globalization is more for suppliers and manufacturers. By and large, the consumers are local, and we try to make them feel global because they buy goods made in a variety of different places. And so what we're trying to say is that can we actually make these items more locally? How do we make that happen? Maybe our concept of manufacturing of scale is outmoded. This requires huge manufacturing facilities and even larger distribution and supply chains. Movements such as eat local, grow local, closer to home trading are starting. What are the products we can make through distributed manufacturing? We may have to use technology such as 3D printing or innovative manufacturing and assembly techniques. An example is machines that can manufacture furniture on demand. They're programmed to manufacture different furniture, a table, a chair, to select the raw materials. And then inventory and distribution costs are reduced. Scale is no longer important, and just in time will increase by putting up local satellite plants, giving us a local advantage. Even today, computers made in China are branded to make people feel they're buying a local product and can get local service. So how can we change our thinking? So you as marketers have to look at this. Everything will also need a hard relook. In design and architecture, some homes will be designed for social distancing, for ease of sterilizing, and also we have to allow homes to work well for people working from home and make them energy efficient and self-healing and self-repairing. So these things are going to happen. Infrastructure. This is a great time for us to rebuild and redesign better transportation, not more rails, but aerial transport or single on-demand transport using the rail system. Sharing economy, which started with hotels with sharing rooms, moved to Airbnb, Uber, etc., with shared services. An example of something that will disrupt marketing is prevention of customer value starvation. Stop long waits on the phone and prevent irritation to customers. Create value for them and you will disrupt your competition. We will also have more leisure time and less hectic activity. Is this a wake-up sign that the rat race may not be necessary? A slower economic growth may not be a bad thing. Can we reinvent ourselves and our lives? Can we find more time for each other? Can we become more caring? Can we make it fun for people to do business with you and to enjoy life? Will this lead to a happier, more balanced society? How can we create value in this sector? How can we market in this disrupted marketplace? We also have to think about marketing where we reduce economic inequality, which can happen because of less educated, less trained, or poorer people. And as technology eliminates jobs, this means more racial and social justice is needed, including a new definition of capitalism, which now is thinking of creating value for all stakeholders. Can you, as marketers, build a new elite? What are the lessons you can learn from this? Often, these disruptive occurrences can be destroyers of value, but they are also an opportunity to create value. How do we do this? First and foremost, our thinking has to change from bemoaning the disruptive event to seeing how we can convert it to our advantage without impacting our values. That is, doing bad things like charging more for masks or hand sanitizers. Ask yourself as marketers, what can I do differently for the future? What is my purpose, or what is the purpose of my company? How can I succeed in the future by creating value and turning value destruction and disruption into an opportunity? Re-examine what my purpose is or what the purpose of my company is. This is our global opportunity to reinvent ourselves and move from value destruction to value creation. To do all this, we need to use my 7 A's of value creation. Awareness, which we've talked about, without which we cannot look beyond the obvious. We also have to use our ability to see, to change, and to win in a disrupted marketplace. We need the speed or agility to make changes and grab opportunities. And we must have an attitude to make things happen and an anticipation of what to do and what competition might do, an anticipation of the future. And we must be adaptable to circumstances and to change as necessary. And we may have to sell our ideas to others. And we must have ambidextrousness to handle the present and the future, doing more than one thing at the same time. Use these 7 A's to change the future and win in a disrupted marketplace. This is our global opportunity to reinvent ourselves and move from value destruction to value creation as marketers in a disruptive marketplace. Become winners. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Mahajan. Thank you so much for such a wonderful valedictory address and making us aware about the importance of creating customer value and how can the marketer see this opportunity as a positive thing rather than a negative one, and introducing all of us to the 7 A's model. I hope all the participants, the attendees, will have a good takeaway from your words. Now I'll invite Mr. Rahul Raizada to share his thoughts.
Thank you, Ansh. First of all, thank you to Dr. Das and Professor Nimale for inviting me here. It's always a pleasure to be back at the alma mater. And as I was saying before, I always feel a bit nostalgic when I'm part of any of the events which FORE organizes so beautifully. So thank you again for having me here. And I would also like to congratulate FORE School of Management in conducting such a wonderful program, which over the last 2 days. And I believe that anything which we learn with pleasure, we never forget. So I'm not a marketing professional, so I'm the odd one out here, but I have been a student of life. So I thought, let me share some of the virtues which has kept me in a good stead in professional life. The past couple of years haven't been kind to us, and the best way to learn has been to just switch on the computer and get on with any of the new course which comes our way. The world has definitely changed, and the disruption, I think, which is the most used word in the last 2 years, has moved us away physically, but it has definitely brought us closer virtually. So on this occasion, where I've been asked to give this special speech on the part of valedictory session, quite a few learned people have already talked a lot about it. So I don't want to repeat anything which has already been spoken, but I thought there are 3 points which will be useful for everyone as they move ahead in their career, in their life, and as they continue to learn each day. So the first one is always be a student, always try to learn every day and continue to remain foolish. Yes, some of you would be wondering why I'm saying foolish, but I think that has been my motto whenever I've looked to learn anything. And believe me, it has always helped me to increase the magnitude of my learning. And whenever I have looked at my growth aspirations, my career, I have always tried to learn new things by remaining foolish. So just continue to learn every day, and it is a great virtue as you try to utilize the learnings which are coming your way. The second thing I would like to say is always base your decisions on a sound platforms. Now, uh, that platform could be either data driven, it could be logic driven, or it could also be technology driven. And this pandemic has shown us how the research can never be undermined. And that's what we have seen in case of vaccines, and how they have been able to, control the pandemic in a big way. So I believe even these 2 days where a lot of technical papers were presented, I'm sure the background and the base work of it would have been based on rock solid platforms. And finally, I would say, chase your fears. Yes, it's pretty difficult to do and it is easy to say, but I think if you are able to chase them, you will eventually conquer them. And once you are able to conquer them, you will be on a different pedestal altogether. In my professional life and personal life, I've tried to do that. Sometimes I have been successful, sometimes I haven't been that successful. But whenever I have been successful, it has always allayed my fears and it has always given me a new push, a new purpose, and a new pedestal in life. So I thought these are the three things I would share with you. And I would just end by saying, investment in knowledge always gives you the best interest. So continue to invest in knowledge and continue to reap the benefits of the interest out of it. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Rahul. And I absolutely agree with you when you're saying about the points of learning with pleasure and chasing your pains. And I have been of the similar thoughts. You have to, it's a little bit different. It's just that you need to find pleasure in your pain. If you want to have a passionate following for something, you want to follow something, follow your passion, follow your dreams, you have to have understanding of the pains that you have to go through. If your heart, your soul is giving a thumbs up for those pains, then you go ahead. Rather than just looking at the brighter side, you have to also look at the side that is going to go give you pain. So absolutely in agreement with what you said. Thank you so much for your words. Now I'd like to invite Professor Mithleshwar Jha. Sir, we welcome you to share your thoughts with us.
Thank you. And please don't upload my PPT because people will be scared. See, last speaker of the conference with time already exhausted and a retired person with captive audience can be very dangerous. So what I will do is I will follow the lead given by Mr. Raijada. I will be brief and try to summarize what I tried to. So you can share my PPT later. Okay. So let me first begin with complimenting the Institute for, I'm not including myself, but getting people like Russell Belk, Rust, and these are some of the people whom I respect, Gautam and some others. So the names when I saw, yes, you have done your homework well, and I'm too lazy to go through the sessions that you had sent the link for everything, but if you have put it on the YouTube or something, leisurely I will go through that. Let me preface my talk by, see, I had titled my thing Reinventing Management / Marketing, an appeal for sanity. Okay. The reason is very simple. Problem I see in our country is, and I'm more familiar with our country, I'm not a global traveler or something. Little bit I have traveled and I observe, I have some discussion with some of the international people. When business gets into trouble, they blame competition, China, government, and customers in that order. When academics get into trouble, we add one more P, some more A's with due apology to Gautam. And I'm also in that business, okay? But Let me also share with you this great man, Kotler. When we first got into this association, that was 2003, I asked him a very simple question because I had interest in conceptual issues in marketing right from the beginning, from my PGP days. We have created additional Ps, and he contributed to very important Ps, publicity, PR, and power. I call it politics. And politics is basically game of power. Why is it that in the text we are not highlighting this? Because this is not getting practiced. And in my opinion, these are extremely important. Yes, service industry brought people, process, and all that. So he had a beautiful response. He said, look, unfortunately, and mind you, his 2 additional Ps came somewhere around 85, 86, if I remember correctly, through an HBR article titled Mega Marketing, a phenomenal article. In my opinion, even today in current context, what we are discussing, disruptions and all that, it has tremendous value. And at that time, it got marketed. Our problem is we forget the past. So he says, our intermediate customers are marketing teachers, and unfortunately, we have not been able to market these additional Ps to these teachers. So imagine a situation when in the classroom, some students ask some intricate questions which today's generation asks, because there is irreverence. I respect irreverence in academics. Some of us during our time were too reverent, and we did not torture our teachers the way we should have. And torture I use in a positive sense. So we should not take things for granted. Problem with management education is too structured, too analytical, and I will come to that part. So, but this person put his hand, we need to look at how do we market these additional A's and P's and outside conferences. It has to come to the regular classroom discussions, right? My definition of marketing, or my understanding of marketing, I summarize in few words. I say marketing is about matchmaking. Analogy is with marriage. So it takes care of sales and marketing dichotomy. I may have a product, but if I'm able to sell it to the right customer, I do not see it as sales. I call it marketing. I may get involved with creation of product, and even then I may not have a match. And sometimes when we fail, we say it's a product ahead of time. Customers were not enlightened enough. Humbug. We did not realize, and what we call as insight, it has to be converted into foresight. That is one. The second thing where I would like to use marketing definition is, my second best definition of marketing is about delivering a higher quality of life. Unfortunately, most of us, and I plead guilty, post-retirement, you are safe. Nobody questions my job. And I was telling Gautam this morning, we got in touch after a long gap, that government pays you if you have served a government institution for not working also, that I'm talking about pension. So you have a safety net. You're not bothered about trolls and losing clients. Unfortunately, we have not distinguished in our practice and discussions the distinction between what marketing department does and marketing as a philosophy. And courtesy that sometimes we get, and most often I have seen in organizations, it is taken as a departmental encroachment. Like I had long discussions with both practitioners and my colleagues in the strategy area. What is strategic about strategic marketing? Why are you people getting into a strategy domain? That is my domain. Marketing deals with, and unfortunately, some of the, when I did some consulting, I did selectively. I never went for retainership, because as a retainer, you become a lapdog or pet dog. I always remained a barking dog, whether in classroom or elsewhere. Okay. But whatever limited consulting I did, when sitting through some of these review meetings, when I found that regional manager has a meeting with branch managers, sales, target versus achievement. General manager has a meeting with regional managers, target versus achievement. Director marketing is conducting a meeting with General managers, target versus achievement. I got the message, right? So sometimes I used to say, I'm taking money from you to abuse you. You are not doing your job. You have remained a salesman despite being designated as director marketing. Now, this is unfortunate truth. And again, there are exceptions. You're beautiful people. I have also heard a statement from some very seasoned practitioner, a director on the board telling a frontline sales engineer, don't give me these stories. This was about 10, 15 years back. I have been in sales at the beginning of my career. Now, normal problem with these people is that when you occupy a position, and Dr. Das, do not take it otherwise. And I have not seen you as director, but I have seen chairs doing strange things to people in this country. Till you occupy a chair, you are a different person. When you sit on a chair, sudden transformation happens. Okay, mosses become loins. So this gentleman, ego is so high that you can't, and you should not confront these people in public. So I will take them aside during tea break and say, unless you are a Jerex Desai, please don't make that a statement. And I'm deliberately using some names. Those of us who know Jerex Desai, the person who created Titan, Jerex Desai, even as CEO, used to spend few days in the market selling watches counter to counter and getting thrown out of some counters. And he also used to spend time in design because he used to tell his people that two critical things in our business are sales and design. And fortunately, I have interest in both, so I spend time there apart from being CEO. And he once explained to an audience where I was also sitting, when I get reports, market research reports filtered by 5 layers of hierarchy, I need to be in the market to make sense out of what the customer is saying. So I'm listening to the voice of the customer firsthand and then interpreting those reports. So I told this gentleman that unless you are a Jerex Desai, please do not make that statement. In technology marketing, when I started my career, and I did start my career in business development, 3 companies, everybody's order book is full. I'm not talking about collusion. We were a closed market. And I'm not blaming old timers. In fact, current time, I say we have to go back to the old timers to learn. Most of us in marketing were dispensers, not marketers. Ration managers, because we had sorted, we were rationing things. Customers were queuing up before us, right? Reluctant sellers, few marketers, if I have to put it. Now, during COVID times, these expertise are important. You need to be a dispenser sometimes. You need to be a rationing manager. You need to be a reluctant seller. And you also need to be a marketer. So those learnings are useful today. But we have to evolve over a period of time. So I go back to Kotler one more time. 2013, I had my last face-to-face interaction with him. We spent whole day in Bangalore interacting with a group of students and faculty members in this city. And we will take short breaks, 45 minutes, 50 minutes. 2 things I wanted to share with this audience, which is key to what I'm going to say. At the end of the session, I was coordinating that session with one-to-one question answer with Kotler. And during the breaks, I had discussed with him because one of the perennial things, second half, my thing, first half, I was too much in Gyan dispensing. Okay. But second half of my career, I started worrying, are we giving too much of Gyan? And I had raised this issue with Kotler. So I began my question answer with this, that Professor Kotler, you had lots of successes. What are some of the disappointments that you have? At this stage, you had a choice to completely change MBA education. What would you do? One thing that you would do. And he made a bit of a slight, see, marketing is always about slight exaggeration, not lies, in my understanding. So he says, if I had my free way, 70% of learning should be happening outside classroom. Only 30% inside. I have tempered it down. I have been arguing for last 10 years in my interactions. Can we bring it to 50%? CAT is the basic culprit, in my opinion, in our problems. Common admission test. Having been admissions chairman, having been part of admissions process, I have maintained even during my days of serving the institution internally, because externally you have to be careful. You are a citizen of an institution. That CAT is a rejection test. It is not a selection test. A large number queues up. Somewhere you have to figure out an objective way of rejecting as many as possible, and then you get into a handful. And because we begin with analytical ability, and I'm not against analytical, but too much of analytical, and I hope people from IT industry do know, I have already created some enemies in IT industry. Because see, at one time in Bangalore, newspapers started reporting, and I confirmed it. Then I made that statement. Roughly 1/3 of accidents, road accidents in Bangalore, 1/3 of divorce cases, 1/3 of mental cases in NIMHANS started getting reported from one industry called IT industry. So I started making a statement also in front of IT people that HRD in IT may stand for human resource destroyers. Where Macaulay did not succeed, some of you have succeeded. The problem I saw is when I was interviewing candidates, wonderful previous background, extremely good extracurricular activities, and we were seeking people, and I respect that, I value that, and I was a promoter of that, that we should recruit in or select students only with experience. Freshers have a problem because if I don't know how organizations functions, I have a problem in learning management, which is Binchworth's one of the early articulations. Initially, I differed with him, but my experience suggested he is right. Now, problem is, where do you get experience? In IT sector. So beautiful mind getting destroyed through coding process of 2 years of very, very logical. So again, I'm not against logic, but if you become too logical, you have a problem. That Maslow's problem, that if you have a hammer in your hand, everything starts looking like a nail. And my problem is, in that process, we have not created MBAs who can define problems creatively. We have created MBAs, there are exceptions, and there are very beautiful exceptions. But I put that as 20% or 25%, who are solution-centric, because unfortunately, many of us as teachers, even when we use cases, students seek solutions, and some of us gratify them because we are interested in getting feedbacks by giving solutions. I have maintained in my lifetime, despite annoying a large number of my students in the classroom, and after you have established your reputation, in my days, we were not bothered about feedback. Yes, we used to take feedback to understand where what is happening, but numbers did not bother some of us. I say, I will torture you for 2 things. You need to learn fundamentals, and I maintain that disruption, new normal, if your fundamentals are clear, and if you know how to adapt in the new context, that is the key to learning. But I maintain that cases do not have solution except accounting cases. Accounting, people get into creative accounting, but that's a different domain. I will not get into that. So one issue I have is, second problem I have with our current scenario, I'm only highlighting problems, and pardon me for that at the end of the day, because that is what will hopefully lead to some interesting solutions. I have a problem with our KOTA. I'm not talking about QOTA. Quota. Because when I started experiencing this, I found by the time the students reach postgraduate level, I thought postgraduate level is for chintan, manan, churning, reflection. But these are people who get exhausted by the time they clear 10th and 12th. Somehow they clear, and I have heard lots of IIT students telling me, I took IIT as a pre-IIM. So don't ask me questions on engineering. And my response used to be, if you have not learned your engineering, then you are not a graduate. We are a postgraduate institution. Why should we select you? But the thing remains that we exhaust both the curiosity for majority and then jobs in coding and some other similar routine jobs, very, very logical. Basic thinking ability is not developed. And we have a beautiful definition. I wish new education policy had taken that, but I will not critique that here. Sa vidya ya vimuktaye. True education liberates the mind. I found exactly opposite happening during my teaching days. We were creating people with silo-oriented minds. So these are issues. Now, what kinds of things we need to do? So let me quickly say, and I don't have answers in terms of what we need to do pedagogically, but I have suggested, can we get at least 50% or maybe even 40% experiential learning? Okay. And if there is anybody from XLRI of good old days, they will remember a gentleman called Father Begrath. He is no longer there, but he was my first exposure to experiential learning. And I will just use one example from his classroom. I was fresh. Again, I was also claiming to be analytical, systematic, and all that. I found Maslow's hierarchy assignment being given to his students in OB1. Write a script, enact that, and display your learning of Maslow's hierarchy, at least 2 elements in each play, 15 minutes play each. And he invited both cross-functional faculty and some distinguished practitioners from Telco and Tisco at that time to judge this. Now, it takes time. But if we can create that kind of a learning, and I used to sometimes joke with him that, Professor, then they will be only learning Maslow, what happens to marketing? And he will say that if the mind is trained properly, the rest of the things will happen. So these are issues. So I'm saying, how do we recreate this curious mindset in the classroom? How do we leave time for reflection? So what I learned, how do I put it to practice? What are the fundamental principles? Just one or two illustrations I'm taking, and then I will close. People go for break-even formula. I insist on first principles. If you know that break-even is where the profit is 0, you can derive that formula in less than a minute, right? Now that is to me a learning process which helps me to go to the fundamentals rather than mugging up formula. Okay. I'm enamored by, and sometimes we did not respect these professors. See, we had a finance professor in IIM Ahmedabad. I will not name him, he is dead, because people have both ambivalent kind of a view about him. But I have not forgotten certain things. Overcapitalization. And he used to use serosayri and jokes to reinforce certain things. I was not a finance student. He says, शहर में बसने से पहले भिखमंगे आ जाते हैं. Now that has stayed with me. Overcapitalization means by the time you are generating, your lenders are in your thing. When somebody talked about economy and all that, and again, I don't want to be trolled by bhaks. He says, हर साख पे उल्लू बैठे हैं, अंजाम गुलिस्तां क्या होगा? Now, some of these things stay in your mind. Okay, and these are some of the very popular kind of a thing. So can we go back to satires? And again, I have seen in my lifetime higher education becoming edutainment. Serious education becoming low involvement learning. I'm dead against that as an academician. So I'm not advocating that, for God's sake. But with attention spans coming down, we need to be creative. We need to be innovative. And some of us have done. Some of us did not adapt. That's a different thing. Let me close with 2-3 things. I maintain that we need to look at our academic model in terms of we need 3 different sets of things in each individual: a gardener's mindset, a farmer's mindset, and a forester mindset. When I looked at your title, and I had earlier requests of marketing during COVID times and those kinds of talks, I looked back and I said, look, and somebody, I read, VUCA has become new normal. There's some industry expert, very well-known speaker. I reflected back. I have interest in rural marketing. I found farmers in this country every year face VUCA. And why is it that people who are trained in Oxford, Harvard, IIMs and IITs cannot face VUCA and they call it a new normal? When I still have that face of daily wage workers walking down hundreds of kilometers or thousands of kilometers during that lockdown, street vendors re-skilling themselves or changing their business. What is this new normal that we are talking about? These are, if we simply observe and learn from people who have been facing this. So street vendors, daily wage workers, farmers are my learning places for dealing with uncertainty. Unfortunately, we focus on risk management. Risk is measurable, uncertainty is not. Can we move to looking at these things? And basically, I have maintained when people talk about what is rural marketing, what is international marketing, I have maintained marketing concepts are valid whether you are talking about urban or rural, but we also need to develop ability to adapt it to the context. Problem comes if I have not learned the fundamentals, I become a robot. Now that is where the problem of our learning say. So I am saying, let us try to develop gardener, farmer, forester, each one with different time frame. Each one faces VUCA, each one faces uncertainty, right? And they manage it without Harvard, without IIMs kind of input in most cases, right? The second example from industry I'm taking is Rajiv Bajaj made a beautiful statement during those lockdown periods. And again, from memory, I am saying, so figures can be slightly here and there. I'm not fudging figures. He said, I have monthly cash outflow after I have stopped production and sales of roughly 900 crores. I have about 11,000 crores as cash in bank and hand or liquid assets. So a company like mine can survive for 9 to 10 months without retrenching workers, without any sales. But how many companies are there like that? So when we look at some of these, when we create these uncertainties, somebody in policy making, somebody in our corporate sector has to look at that. If I have a forester mindset, I need to look at these possibilities. And let me quickly say, because Bajaj is a large company, I respect Rajiv Bajaj and more his father, Rahul Bajaj. But there is a company in Coimbatore called Sugna Foods. Some of you will be familiar, roughly 9,000 crore company, 2 BCom educated brothers. I had privilege of interacting with them and conducting programs for them during 2009-10 period. That time they were about 6,000, 7,000, or I think roughly 6,000 crores people. These are people who were in poultry business. And from there, they have got into foods business. 9,000 crores is not a joke. A roughly 4 crore company in 99, 9,000 crores in 2021, despite a whole lot of COVID and these bird flus and all that. I heard a language from these people not trained in, again, IIMs, war chest, because by 2009, they had suffered 4 bird flus, and each bird flu means complete culling of your inventory. So somebody knew how to manage these uncertainties. When you cannot predict them, you don't have control. And let me conclude with one more story, old story. And Gautam and some others, Jitin Das and some others and I must, practitioners. Montgomery Ward, people have forgotten, the first respected retail chain in US, more than 150 years of leadership. Their motto was satisfaction guaranteed. I did my PhD on satisfaction guaranteed in early 80s, and that was considered ahead of its time. But this was a company set up somewhere in 1800 with a motto satisfaction guaranteed, and they used to practice it. During the Great Depression, they made a big assumption that Great Depression is likely to continue for a long time. People will cut down expenditure, like many of our companies have done, some governments have done. Okay, so it is a disaster situation. So they retrenched people left, right, and center. They closed down stores left, right, and center, virtually stopped advertisement, all kinds of negative actions, which many companies today have taken. There was a small, distant number two at that time in retail industry in US called Sears Roebuck. They took an assumption that this recession is likely to end. We don't have resources, but we will not retrench people. Selectively, we will recruit based on what we can afford. Selectively, we will keep our visibility. Selectively, we will use our resources to buy store locations, which Montgomery Ward is closing down. So they reduced their wages, but top management took larger cuts than the front line. Okay, and those kinds of things they managed. So researchers said, post-recession, Sears was ready for takeoff, and Montgomery Ward was in a downward loop. Somewhere around 95, 96, Montgomery Ward got sold off, broken into pieces and sold off. Sears took off. Unfortunately, Sears also made an assumption that this kind of a large format stores can be viable only in towns in US with greater than 50,000 population. I will not repeat the whole story. You know where Kmarts and Walmarts started. This assumption basically created problem for Sears. Then Walmart took over somewhere in the late 70s, early 80s. Sears is still a struggling company, or I don't know whether they exist now with any kind of glory. Walmart made an assumption when Amazon came that these kinds of virtual stores Americans will not patronize. You know the history. I will not get into that. So my basic learning is, one, as students of management and marketing, we have to reinvent ourselves by asking a simple question earlier I used to say 5 years, now I say every 2 years. How much of my learning is not relevant? What new learnings I need to incorporate or I have from the industry? What critical assumptions I'm making which may not be true? And number three, I say, in corporate sector, I have seen this syndrome at the board level, at other levels. People look for yes men. Also in consultants. If you disagree with me, my God, I'm paying you money, you are my pet dog. Why are you barking? I maintain that if two people agree with each other more often, one of them is redundant. And lastly, I have suggested to my CEO clients, always keep a person who disagrees with you close to you. Some of these are not in our national culture. We are extremely hierarchical. We think wisdom lies with age. Let me conclude by saying, in academics, we maintained, and I was privileged to be part of a system where we said, hierarchy of wisdom prevails, not hierarchy of designation. If I have sat in front of my younger colleagues and asked them questions, and let me quickly go back to Kotler. During that meeting, I found there was a gentleman from Electrolux. He was known at that time as one of the best practitioners of digital media. So I found this old man, much older than me, for 45 minutes in the presence of two of his co-authors, like a child sitting in front of this practitioner and asking questions. What is the difference between LinkedIn, Facebook, and this? If I have to promote my book to this kind of a group in North America or Canada, which will be better and why? And this was not consulting questions. These were simple, very, very childlike curiosity. And I felt so many of us have that kind of curiosity, right? So basically, I go back and maintain, if we can re-nurture that curiosity to ask questions, these VUCA and all those things, I can adapt. If not, Darwinian principles will prevail. Super specialists have a problem of survival when uncertainty happens. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Jha, for your words of wisdom and a lot of learnings for all of us, a lot of things to ponder upon. I'll now hand over the dice to Professor Nirmalya for the vote of thanks to this team family and conclude the conference. Professor Nirmalya, you need to unmute yourself.
Thank you, Professor Ansh. It is not a dais. I can say that you can just say the screen. Okay, so screen is in now. So we are at the end of the 2-day-long marketing conference, and this is time for the expression of our gratitude. Expression of our gratitude to all our speakers, invited session chairs, presenters, our leadership, support team, and the student volunteers. And we are lucky to have some of the leading academicians of the globe. So my sincere thanks to Professor Russell Belk, Professor Roland Rust, Professor Victoria Crittenden, Professor Justin Paul, Professor Raj Sethuraman, Professor Gautam Mahajan, Professor Caroline Strong, Professor Osama Khan, Professor Prakash Bagri, Mr. Kush Mehra, Mr. Kapil Grover, Mr. Cherish Jacob, Dr. Nancy Richmond, Mr. Sangram Sinha, Professor Mithilesh Jha, thank you, sir, Ms. Bhuvana Subramaniam, Mr. Rahul Raizada, Mr. Falk Fahram, and Mr. S. Farhad Khan. My sincere thanks to the invited session chairs, Dr. Saikat Banerjee, Professor Amit Mukherjee, Dr. Pooja Kushwaha, Dr. Rupal Walia Sharma, Professor Satyabhushan Das, Professor Siva Kumaran Bharadwaj, Dr. Gautam Datta, and Dr. Mallika Srivastava. I am sincerely indebted to the editors of some of the leading journals which were associated with our conference, the editor of International Journal of Emerging Markets, American Business Review, International Journal of Consumer Studies, Journal of Indian Marketing, and so on. I am indebted to all the paper presenters who did a really good job. Some very good quality papers presented. I was not expecting that good quality papers, let me tell you frankly, but yes, there was some very good work presented this time. I am indebted to our marketing area colleagues. Sincere thanks to Professor Ashutosh Pandey, Professor Nanda Chaudhary, Professor Ajay Kumar Pandey, Professor Ayushi Sharma, Professor Pankaj, Professor Payal Kapoor, Professor Varsha Khatri, and obviously my co-convener was always helping, Professor Ansh Gupta. And we couldn't be able to organize this conference if the leadership was not supported. And my sincere thanks to Dr. BBL Madhukar, who is the chairman of FORE School of Management and also is the patron, major patron of this conference. Dr. Vinayshil Gautam, the vice chairman, and our source of inspiration, Dr. Jitendra Das, director and conference chair for this conference, and all other BOD members who are not directly but indirectly encouraged us quite a lot. Sincere thanks to our IT team, and they did a tremendous job. Some technical glitches, always we tried our best. Today also it happened. So SAR's Dr. Mahajan's, Professor Mahajan's session was delayed, but great job done by them, led by Mr. Uday, Mr. Anuj, Mr. Neeraj, Sadananda, and others. And I am really grateful to the student volunteers. Two student volunteers worked day and night in the last 2 days, Mr. Sahil and Ms. Golden. And I'm indebted to all of the faculty and staff members of FORE School of Management, who encouraged us directly or indirectly. So sincere thanks to all of you. We close now, and once again, my sincere gratitude, expression of gratitude to all the people who are associated with this. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for making this a success. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.